Hey y'all, welcome to the Southern Appalachian Herbal Podcast. I'm Judson Carroll and I'm an herbalist. I'm also a wild crafter, a gardener, and herb grower. I'm coming to you from high atop the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina, just a stone's throw from the Tennessee line, overlooking the Pisgah National Forest. Absolutely surrounded by the bounty of God's green earth. I spent most of my life wandering these mountains and learning about plants from the old timers and all sorts of characters. On this show, we'll talk about herbs and how to use them, how to find them, how to grow them, how to make preparations. We'll talk about a lot of things. We can also talk about permaculture, homesteading, foraging, and living off the land. Most anything, really. You can email me at southernappalachianherbs@gmail.com if you have a question or a comment. You can also contact me through the Grow Network, where I'm a regular contributor and a moderator for the forums. And my blog is, of course, southernappalachianherbs@blogspot.com. All right, y'all. I'm going to sit my guitar down and let's talk about herbs. Hey, y'all. Welcome to this week's show. First of all, I just want to give a big thank you to everyone who has purchased my new book so far. Really appreciate it. I'm getting great feedback. In fact, a few people are teaching classes now based on this book. So that's pretty cool. If you haven't heard it before, or if you need a reminder from last week, it's The Herbs and Weeds of Father Johannes Künzle, co-written with Jolanta Whitted. And I'll put a link here in the show notes if you want to buy a copy, or you can read about it on my blog, Southern Appalachian Herbs. And it's just a great book. And like I said, we were just really pleased to be able to bring that one back from the brink of really being lost, because it is a very useful, very valuable herbal. So, y'all know that one of the things I like most in doing these shows and exploring herbs and in the articles I write is kind of rediscovering, I won't say forgotten herbs, but herbs have kind of fallen out of use. And a lot of times those are things that people consider weeds. Other times they're things people consider edible plants, and they've forgotten that they're medicinal herbs. Well, this week I've got a great combination of that. It being spring, one of the first wildflowers to really pop up all over the mountains and down to the foothills, well, after the trilliums and such as that, are the thistles. We start getting all kinds of thistles. I have never cataloged all the thistles in the mountains of North Carolina, but we have so many varieties. Honestly, they're just everywhere. And the first ones that really show are the bull thistle. The bull thistle is also called the Scotch thistle or Scottish thistle. It's a real symbol of Scotland and Scottish culture. It's that nice big green thistle with a purple flower on top. You'll see it in old fields and pastures. You'll see it beside the road. You'll see it anywhere. It kind of like soil that's, well, kind of poor soil. I mean, it really does sort of fit the description of a weed, and it's not native to the Americas. And in some places, it's actually considered invasive. It's such a beautiful plant. It is, it's spiky like a lot of thistles, so it's sort of a nuisance in the pastures. But if more people realize that it's edible and medicinal, maybe people would start harvesting it for food and medicine, and it wouldn't be considered an invasive weed. It would be considered a benefit, and people could control the numbers a little bit so it doesn't get out of hand. So let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about the bull thistle, because, when people think thistles, I think this is really the one that pops into their mind, sort of as emblematic of thistles. So the bull thistle, the roots have been used as a poultice, and a decoction of the plant used as a poultice on sore jaws. Hot infusion of the whole plant has been used as an herbal steam for treating rheumatic pains. A decoction of the whole plant has been used both internally and externally to treat bleeding piles. So those are its medicinal uses, but it's actually a pretty darn good edible. The roots can be harvested and eaten like Jerusalem artichoke. If you're going to have the roots of the thistle, you want to get them before it flowers. A lot of people say they're not as tasty as Jerusalem artichoke. They are very similar. The root, just like Jerusalem artichoke, is rich in inulin, That's a starch that can't be digested by humans. So it's one of those that could be of value to diabetics, using it in place of potatoes and such. It can make you a little flatulent though, if you're not used to it. Now, the stems are really more what I focus on. You want to get the young flower stems, you peel them and cook them and eat them as a vegetable. They're really good. The leaves you can soak in water overnight and cook. You can actually, when they're really tender, just that little soak in some salt water, you can eat them raw in a salad. But, I think they are better cooked. The flower buds can also be cooked. Now, this is before they open. These are really like little artichokes or cardoons, which isn't surprising because artichokes and cardoons are also thistles. And I guess that's the next one I should talk about. But think about that. This weed, this nuisance plant that pops up is good food. It's good medicine. So look for it. You'll spot it. And I mean, you'll probably come to love this plant as much as I do. All right. So artichokes and cardoons. I wrote an article about this maybe 2, 3 weeks ago. So you can find a big write up on my blog if you want a whole lot of information about artichokes and cardoons. I think I went 7 pages on it. I mean, there's a lot of information. I got into all the history of their use and everything, but I'm not going to do all that now. Suffice to say, artichokes are a cultivated form of cardoon. Cardoon is the original plant. The artichoke is the same plant cultivated for the garden. It grows bigger, but the cardoon's a little tougher. And if you live in an area where you can't grow artichokes, you may try cardoon. I've also heard of people crossing artichoke with cardoon to kind of get the best characteristics of both. Not something I've tried, but it's something I would like to try. And if you have tried it, let me know because I'd love to get some more information on that. Okay, so artichokes, bar none, one of my absolute favorite foods. I love artichokes. I love pickled artichoke hearts. I love the whole artichoke just cooked in, a little water with a little white wine and lemon juice, a little bit of salt. Okay, so what you do is you pull the choke out, or you can just pull off the leaves from the sides. Then you dip it in butter and just kind of pull the flesh of the leaf off with your teeth. Absolutely delicious. The choke is actually the thistle. You don't eat that. What you eat are the leaves that surround it. I mean, they're so good. Oh, chopped up like in pasta, especially with some crawfish tails and butter. Maybe do a little sage butter sauce. I love artichokes. I can't think of any bad way to eat an artichoke. I love artichoke dip, stuffed artichokes, you name it. If it's an artichoke, I'm going to eat it because I love artichokes, as I said. But they're also medicinal. The globe artichoke is particularly important because of a chemical called cynarin. This is a bitter tasting compound. It's found in the leaves. So you can grow your artichokes even if you live in a cold environment where you can't really grow them out to the point where they flower and you get to eat them. You still get those leaves. Now, the leaves improve liver and gallbladder function, stimulate the secretion of digestive juices, especially bile, lower blood cholesterol levels. The leaves are anti-cholesteremic, anti-rheumatic, cholagogue, digestive, diuretic, hypoglycemic, and lithotropic. They are used internally in the treatment of chronic liver and gallbladder disease, jaundice, hepatitis, arteriosclerosis, and the early stages of late onset diabetes. Now, I'm reading here from Plants for a Future. That gives you all the scientific terms. This means that the globe artichoke is one of the most important bitter herbs there is. It's not just food. I highly recommend you get some of those growing and start enjoying artichokes because they are fantastic food and medicine. All right, so let's just get into some thistles. Like I said, there are so many thistles. Nearly all of them are medicinal. In fact, they probably all have some medicinal component. Nearly all of them are edible. There are many plants that are not true thistles. Many plants are called thistles. Our common names can be anything from the Carduus family, Circabata family, Cerisium family, Anaportum family, Salsola family, Salvia. There's even a Salvia. Silybum, which Silybum is actually the way you're supposed to pronounce it. Thanks, Doc Jones, for ruining that pronunciation for me. He always calls it Silybum. No, it's Silybum marianum. Okay, and you probably know that one is milk thistle. Sonchus. Sonchus is like your cow thistle and such as that, or sow thistle. say. So there's so many things we call thistles, and it's really more of a descriptive term than it is a proper name. So let me just go through a few of these, like welted thistle. The root is alterative and anodyne. That's another one that's a weed. You're going to find it, roadsides. I think that one actually originates in Asia, and it's one of those that pops up sometimes that got here by accident. Sorry, Carling thistle. Carling thistle is thistle that's been used in herbal medicine for millennia. The roots and leaves are diaphoretic and purgative. Just say they're good for digestion. That's another one that is often seen as a weed, but the flowering heads are also cooked and eaten like artichokes. So that's one you can have in your garden. That's one you might want to look for if you're out wildcrafting. St. Barnaby's thistle. Now this one is more of an English thistle. The powdered seed is used as a remedy for kidney stones. Powdered root is said to cure fistula and gravel. And that's another one that could be eaten as a vegetable. Like I said, almost all of these that I know of can be eaten as a vegetable. There's one actually called edible thistle. That's Cerisium edule. And I honestly don't know of any, medicinal benefits to this one, but it's one that's commonly grown for food. You eat the root. It's another one that's a lot like Jerusalem artichokes. The shoots can be eaten raw or cooked as greens. They're sort of like asparagus a little bit. Oh, there's so many. It's just hard to hard to whittle them down. Okay, well here's one. I'll tell you a little bit about the blessed thistle. Now, blessed thistle is, it was one of the most popular herbs in older herbal medicine. Blessed thistle has a little bit of a religious history to it as well. But I'll just go ahead and read you what it says here. It says the blessed thistle was widely cultivated in the Middle Ages when it was seen as a cure for all manner of diseases, including the plague. Plants for future listed as astringent, bitter, cholagogue, diaphoretic, diuretic, strongly emetic, in large doses, emmenagogue, galactagogue, stimulant, stomatic, and tonic. It's supposed to increase the milk supply of nursing mothers. It's used the treatment of anorexia. It's good to settle the stomach with dyspepsia, as they used to call it. Now, you won't hear a lot about blessed thistle in modern herbal medicine. Uh, Nobody knows why. I don't know why. In fact, Michael Moore, in his Southwest School of Botanical Medicine class, basically laughed it off as if it was nothing, just like some old-fashioned thing. But I mean, he did give some uses for it, but he didn't seem to think much of it as an herb. But I just picked up Culpepper's Complete Herbal. He probably wrote more about blessed thistle than he did any other herb in this entire book. 4 full pages of its virtues. And I mean, these are not short pages either. I'll just give you a little synopsis of what he said. He said it cures venereal diseases, strengthens the memory, cures deafness, an excellent remedy for the heads and parts thereof, this herb being eaten or powdered or the juice drunk, keeps a person from headaches and migraine. Being eaten, it's good against dizziness or swimming of the head. He said it sharpens the brain and the wit, strengthens the memory. It is a singular remedy against deafness. It provokes sleep. He said the juice of it laid on the eyes quickens the fight. I think he meant the sight. Okay, yes, that would be Old English where the S's look like F's. Okay, the juice of it laid on the eyes quickens the sight. Also, the water in which the powder or herb is dried or steeped has the same effect on the eyes washed therein. The water or juice dropped in the eyes cures redness, bloodshot, and itching of them. Some write that it strengthens the teeth. It comforts the stomach. Good, it helps a weak stomach, increases appetite. The powder thereof, eaten with honey or drunk in wine, does help digest cold phlegm. It means, congestion, and causes to breathe more easily. The herb chewed in the mouth heals the stench of the breath. It helps the heart. He said the leaves, powder, juice, or water of the herb being drunk, and the patient well covered with clothes, sweating 3 hours expels all poisons that have been taken at the mouth and other corruption or infection that may hurt or annoy the heart. So he used it both as a febrifuge to help break a fever, with those agues, but also he believed that blessed thistle would get the poison out of your body if you had ingested poison or been stung or bitten by a snake. He said it helps the liver, the lungs, and other parts of the body. Um, he recommends boiling the herb in wine and drinking that against shortness of breath and diseases of the lungs. It's good against aches of the body. It's good against stitches of the side. Also good for people who have consumption. That would be tuberculosis. I mean, this one page. He went on literally for 4 full pages about the virtues of the blessed thistle, which is what we would call a forgotten herb. He said it consumes evil humors and preserves the good. It's excellent for bruises, wounds. Finally, to conclude, late writers say that it cures the pains of the head, takes away giddiness, and recovers the memory, being taken in meat or drink. It also helps festering sores, especially of the paps and teats, if the powder thereon be laid on them. By this we may in part understand how with great virtue God has imbued, and I may say, bless this herb. To sum it all up, it helps inwardly and outwardly. It strengthens almost all the principal members of the body, as the brain, the heart, the stomach, the liver, the lungs, the kidney. It is a preventative against all diseases, for it provokes sweat, by which the body is purged of much corruption, which breeds disease. It expels the venom of infection. It consumes ill blood and all naughty humors, whereof diseases are engendered. Therefore, giving God thanks for his goodness which he has given this herb and all other things for the benefit of our health, it will in the next place be convenient to consider how to make use of this application. All right, then he goes on and describes all the decoctions and all the tinctures and everything you can make with blessed thistle, but I won't get into that. I think it's suffice to say we need to pay a lot more attention to our thistles and not just look at them as nuisance plants, as weeds. Now, speaking of blessed thistle, let's get back to Solibum mariana. Now, this one has made a lot of headlines over the past, I don't know, decade or so, mainly because milk thistle, as it's properly called, is one of the most powerful herbs in the healing of the liver. It not only helps the liver with its processes like some other bitter herbs, but it soothes the liver. It's very important. You know, if we take a bitter such as gentian or Oregon grape or barberry, we're stimulating the liver. Now, that will help the liver do its process of, getting rid of the toxins in the body. But if you haven't already exhausted liver, if your liver's already weak, it can actually do more harm than good. Milk thistle, on the other hand, supports the liver. It protects the liver against damage from solvents like, for instance, drinking too much alcohol. It just really helps heal the liver. Just to reference Michael Moore again, I don't know if he was correct about this or not, but he said if you drink liquor, take milk thistle with it, and it will protect your liver from any of the damage that the liquor does. Hey, he was not he was not a drinker, and he was always, criticizing people who were. And he said, "Hey, you can use milk thistle along with that alcohol." He obviously meant it because he never recommended alcohol for anything. Oddly enough, he was very big on cocaine and methamphetamine, but not a glass of wine. Odd guy. Anyway, milk thistle is a remarkable plant, and like the blessed thistle, it has a lot of religious connotation. Both of these are considered herbs of Our Lady or herbs of the Blessed Virgin Mary. The milk thistle, Libum marianum, meaning the thistle of Mary, essentially, has a long history of use in the West as a remedy for depression and liver problems. Recent research has confirmed that it has a remarkable ability to protect the liver from damage resulting from alcoholic and other types of poisoning. The whole plant is astringent, bitter, cholagogue, diaphoretic, diuretic, emetic, emmenagogue, hepatic, stimulant, stomatic, and tonic. Wow, that's a lot, right? Okay, it's bitter. It helps with fevers. It helps diuretic. It helps pull fluid out of the body. Um, Emmenagogue means it helps bring on menses. Hepatic means it's good for the liver. Stimulant, stomatic means it's good for the stomach. Tonic means it tones tissue. All right, I think I covered most of those. It's used internally for the treatment of liver and gallbladder diseases, jaundice, cirrhosis, hepatitis, and poisoning. The plant is harvested when in flower and dried for later use. Silymarin, an extract from the seed and acts on the membranes of the liver cells, preventing the entry of virus toxins and other toxic compounds and thus preventing damage to the cells. It dramatically improves liver regeneration in hepatitis, cirrhosis, and mushroom poisoning and other diseases of the liver. That's one thing I wanted to point out about the milk thistle is it is very useful in mushroom poisoning. There have been many documented cases of people who have eaten the wrong mushrooms, and those mushrooms would normally turn their liver into cottage cheese, and they've been given milk thistle and they did okay. So that's a pretty good recommendation, in my opinion. It says German research suggests that salibin, flavonoid of the seed, is clinically useful in treating severe poisonings by Amanita mushrooms. That's what I'm talking about. Seed extracts are produced commercially in Europe. Regeneration of the liver is particularly important in the treatment of cancer since this disease is always characterized by a severely compromised and often partially destroyed liver. A homeopathic remedy is obtained from equal parts of the root and seed with its hulls still attached and used in the treatment of liver and abdominal disorders. Now, that means everyone should be growing milk thistle in their garden. And this is one that's sort of along the same lines as comfrey. You get it going, it's almost impossible to kill it. It will keep multiplying. The cheapest milk thistle standardized extract I've ever found is around $5 for a bottle of maybe 60 tablets, I believe. I think that's right. That's pretty inexpensive. But considering how much of this you could grow in just one little corner of your garden that probably has poor soil and not a lot else is going to grow there, or just one little corner of your yard, or a flower pot on your back porch, that's free. Free beats $5, right? And this is one, this milk thistle is used for not only, alcohol and mushroom poisoning, but it's good to help you get over food poisoning. It's good for just about anything that you got an issue with, where your body's basically dealing with some kind of toxin. So that's a thistle we really all need to be much more familiar with and use much more often. So let's go through a few more. Okay, sow thistle. Sow thistle's one we get around here. Let's see, there are two varieties. Prickly sow thistle, I have certainly encountered. Prickly. It can be pounded in the whole plant now, pounded up and applied to as a poultice to wounds and boils. Again, this is one you can eat. Leaves and stem tops can be eaten raw or cooked. They can be added to a salad or cooked right up. The stems are a little bitter. Flowers and the leaves are mild. They're good. Regular sow thistle. This is Sonchus oleracea. All the sow thistles are Sonchus, by the way. It has a little more medicinal use. And this is one you may look at and think, is that a thistle? But yeah, it is. It is a amenagogue and hepatic. That means it brings on menses and it's good for the liver. An infusion has been used to bring on tardy menstruation and to treat diarrhea. The latex in the sap is used in the treatment of warts. You can take the latex and put it on the wart, and it will kind of dissolve it, just like some of those over-the-counter, wart removal things that you can buy at the drugstore. It is said to have anti-cancer activity. The stem from the juice is a powerful hydragogue and cathartic and should be used with great caution since it can cause colic. Okay. The gum has been used as a cure for the opium habit. That's interesting. The leaves are applied as a poultice to inflammatory swellings, and an infusion of the leaves and roots is febrifuge and tonic. Again, the leaves can be eaten raw or cooked. They're very high in vitamin C, by the way. They can be cooked like spinach or used in soups. They have 30 to 40 milligrams of vitamin C per 100 grams. They have about one, and they have a little bit of protein, a little bit of fat, a little bit of carbohydrate in a plant. That's not actually all that common when we're looking at wild foods. It's really, if you were trying to eat mainly vegetation, the uh, the proteins and fats are about the hardest thing to get out of the plant. Let's see. There's another Scotch thistle, another thistle called Scotch thistle. It looks very much like the bull thistle. You could really easily confuse those two. But this one is really very interesting, and I definitely suggest if you believe you see a bull thistle or you think it might be a Scotch thistle, and like I said, two species with the same name of Scotch thistle, do check this one because the Anaportum acanthium, this Scotch thistle, as opposed to the bull thistle, is a cardiotonic. That means it's good for your heart. And if you see this one, if you have concerns about having a weak heart or something, this may be another one you want to grow, and you want this one specifically. It says it's been used in some proprietary heart medicines. The juice of the plant is used with good effect in treatment of cancers and ulcers, and a decoction of the root is astringent. It diminishes discharges from mucous membrane, so kind of actually help dry up the sinuses and such. And again, it's just like the bull thistle, you can eat these flower buds just like artichokes. They're smaller. I mean, the artichoke is definitely the bigger of all of these, but there's absolutely no reason to overlook them. This is free food as well as being free medicine. All right, I am just going to give you a list now of the various thistles. If I see another one I want to comment on mm, more at length, I will. But I mean, if you want to make some notes on this or think about what may be in your area. All right, you've got the welted thistle, the musk thistle, the stemless carline thistle, and the regular carline thistle. The distaff thistle, common star thistle. Star thistle is another one you see often. Yeah, powdered roots and seeds of this star thistle can be crushed up and drunk as a remedy for kidney stones and bladder obstructions. The powdered root is said to be a cure for fistula and gravel. Iberian star thistle, Maltese star thistle, St. Barnaby's thistle, blue sow thistle, stemless thistle, creeping thistle, Indian thistle. That one, yeah, Indian thistle is more used as for food. It's the root, it's another one that the root can be eaten like Jerusalem artichokes, basically. And it has the inulin. So, if you have diabetes, it may be a good thing to look into some of these. A little variety in the diet with things that aren't going to spike the blood sugar. Oh, let's see. Eaten thistle, edible thistle, woolly thistle, white thistle, cobweb thistle, yellow spined thistle. And this is a good one. Yellow spine thistle, the entire plant is diaphoretic and diuretic. Infused overnight in cold water, and the water taken is used as a treatment for syphilis. Liquid from the boiled blossoms has been used to treat burns and skin sores. Taken 5 times a day in the treatment of diabetes. So that's a powerful little thistle there. Yellow spined thistle. And that one is Sericium ochrocentrum. It kind of means yellow. Let's see, cabbage thistle. That's another one we see a lot of. Cabbage thistle, young leaves can be eaten, cooked as a vegetable. The root is another one with the inulin. It can be used, like you would Jerusalem artichokes or potato. It's not going to spike your blood sugar. Pale thistle, marsh thistle, tuberous thistle, wavy leaf thistle, common thistle. That's Sericium vulgare. That's your bull thistle, by the way. Blessed thistle, globe thistle. There are two thistles called globe thistle. Scotch thistle, cotton thistle is yeah, flower buds can be eaten. I don't know much more about cotton thistle than that. What else we got here? Prickly Russian thistle. There is a thistle sage. Now this one is very different. This is not. I don't know why this one's called a thistle. You may remember when I was writing down the list, I kind of paused at Salvia carduceae. To me, this doesn't even look like a thistle. They call it one. It says the seed, raw or cooked, can be roasted, ground into a powder, and used with other seeds as a mush. Seeds can be added to wheat to improve the flavor and used as a cooling beverage. So not only is it not a thistle, it doesn't really have any medicinal use. But the salvias are a very diverse family. I mean, there's so much variety in the salvias. Spotted golden thistle, milk thistle, field milk thistle, and the field milk thistle, unlike the regular milk thistle, is a Sanchus. It's in the same family as the sow thistles, and it's very different. In fact, the leaves are usually used as a poultice for anti-inflammatory activity. The root is used in the treatment of asthma and coughs and other chest complaints, and a tea of the leaves is said to calm the nerves. So they may both be called milk thistle, but those are two completely different plants with two completely different actions. So, that's why common names can also be, you know, fairly confusing. There's one other sow thistle I didn't mention, and that's the shore sow thistle. But I don't really know a whole lot about that, and there's really nothing listed on that one. So all total, you have 38 plants. No, let me add artichoke and cardoon. 40, 40 plants that are commonly called thistles. Take out that one salvia, and we're going to go with 39 plants that are in the general category of thistle, although they are different families with different properties. Uh, let's see, at least 35 of them have important medicinal properties, and mm, I think all of them are edible. So, this week when you're out walking around and you start seeing those wildflowers, see if you can spot a few thistles. I don't think you're going to regret it. All right, y'all. Have a good one and get out there and enjoy this wonderful spring weather. We're about to have a real cold snap, so grab your jacket and a hat when you head out, and maybe you'll find some good herbs to use. Don't forget, the book is The Herbs and Weeds of Father Johann Künzle. The link is in the show notes, and please do buy a copy because if we sell enough, we'll be able to make them available in print, not just an ebook. So we need to sell a few more. Y'all have a good one, and I'll talk with you next week. The information in this podcast is not intended to diagnose or treat any disease or condition. Nothing I say or write has been evaluated or approved by the FDA. I'm not a doctor. The U.S. government does not recognize the practice of herbal medicine, and there is no governing body regulating herbalists. Therefore, I'm really just a guy who studies herbs. I'm not offering any advice. I won't even claim that anything I write or say is accurate or true. I can tell you what herbs have been traditionally used for. I can tell you my own experience and if I believe an herb has helped me. I cannot nor would I tell you to do the same. If you use an herb anyone recommends, you are treating yourself. You take full responsibility for your health. Humans are individuals and no two are identical. What works for me may not work for you. You may have an allergy, a sensitivity, an underlying condition that no one else even shares and you don't even know about. Be careful with your health. By continuing to listen to my podcast or read my blog, you agree to be responsible for yourself, for your own research, make your own choices, and not to blame me for anything ever.